Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the Ask Your Mentor Anything Live. We're live today with Silvia. Hello, Silvia. Hi, how are you?
Thank you for having me at your show. Can you say
Thank
show?
you for accepting my invitation and for being available for us here for a whole hour for today's live. That's really generous of you. And today's topic, guys, and I know that you're really interested in this topic, is about websites and how translators, specifically or language professionals and interpreters, they can optimize their websites for search engine. And that's a topic of Silvia Schulz. Am I pronouncing correct?
That's like this. But don't worry about the name.
Okay, and where are you based currently? Where we're
I'm
broadcasting?
in lovely Amsterdam. Today is not so lovely. It's raining. But
Amsterdam.
yeah, in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. But I'm from
Are
Germany.
you Dutch or German? I thought that you were German.
German.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
okay. That's correct. Thank you for joining us, guys. See people joining us. So use the chat below to introduce yourselves and let us know where you're watching us from. I'm really curious to see. The last time we had people from California, the US is always really exciting to see people like from India or all over the world. So use the chat below. Let us know where are you watching us, and please let us know if the sound, if the picture is okay, because it doesn't really make sense if we're discussing and you cannot hear us. So please. Just in the chat, in the comments of this live, let us know if the sound is okay before we start, because Silvia is going to share her expertise and I think you shouldn't miss it. So I've seen many people joining us. Use the chat below and let me know, is the sound okay? Can you hear us? And I will introduce Silvia how we've met, okay, virtually, of course, because we haven't met yet in person. Okay, I can hear all right, perfect. And if you would like us to be able to see your names, guys, you need to click on the StreamYard link that you see in the description box so as to be able to see your name. So the occasion of us meeting is the actual BP conference that's very well known in the translation industry. It's, I think, the most... I don't know, people, they love it, this, and it's very good when it comes to networking opportunities and learning opportunities. And I'm very honored and happy this year to be invited to give a workshop. It was mostly voted because you vote the workshops, and also Silvia's as well. And Silvia and myself will be giving 2 different workshops on 2 different topics. The first day of the event, before the actual conference starts, on May 8th. So we will meet in person because the actual event happens live this year, but it's a hybrid, guys. So if you would like to find out more about the event, you can check out the link that passes here, and I will share also in the chat. Find out about the schedule, the workshops, and if you have any questions about Silvia, you can contact Silvia directly. Silvia, how you would like to be contacted for questions about your work?
I think LinkedIn, like connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn, and send me a direct message. I think that's
Perfect. So Silvia is very approachable. Find her on LinkedIn. You see her name, how it's pronounced here, so it's spelled. And is also a member of our Mentoring for Translators group. So you can tag her underneath this video if you come up with more questions or if you're watching the recording. And let's get into our topic. And we will also conclude with the BP conference and our workshops with a short description of what we're going to cover at this conference at the end. So stay tuned, guys. So Silvia, would you like to introduce yourself for those that they don't know you and they would like to find out about you, your business, your background in the industry?
Yeah, let's start with that. So today dawned on me it has been almost 17 years. So
Wow.
I started my career in April 2006. So that's almost like 17 years ago. So I kind of stumbled into the translation industry, to be honest. I studied something else, American studies and computer science at university. And then I went to Japan just to travel with a working holiday visa. And I found a job at a Japanese translation agency.
Wow.
And I accepted. And I thought, wow, it was a great experience. My first job after graduating from university. So I became a project manager and language lead at the Japanese translation agency in charge of German and all the Scandinavian languages. And there I got a lot of on-job training about TRADOS, about how everything works, project management, how to manage the projects and so on. So it was really a good start into the industry, but I never really planned to end up as a translator. So it just happened.
Sometimes life stays where you need to be.
Yeah.
And you already replied the first, let's say, questions that we have in the list for those that they follow, they Ask Your Mentor Anything lives. They know that we ask the guests at least the first time they introduce themselves. The most common asked question from mentees starting out translators or people that they would like to be mentored, the guests just to be inspired, let's say, by their story, and also motivated and find out ways that they could actually make things happen for them, especially if they're starting out. So I think the first question would be, how did you start in this industry? And you already, I think, explained, unless there was something else you would like to add.
Yeah, so yeah, I was working at the translation agency, but then like the financial crisis hit, Lehman shock, and so I lost my job while in Japan, and I didn't have any other employment option at that time. My visa was also connected to my employer, but my old company said, well, we cannot hire you anymore as a staff, but if you work freelance for us, we give you all German jobs.
Okay,
And that was the start into my like freelance translation career. So from day one, I had like a client and I had a lot of work because so I gave all the German jobs to me. But to be honest, I didn't have any background in like how to run my own business. So I was not very business savvy at that point, to be honest. So I was able to get more clients. Like I used a Bros at that time. So that was 2010.
I was about to ask you, how many years you had experience when you are actually you became a freelancer? You didn't want.
Yeah, so it was 4 years at the agency, and since then I have been working as a like freelance translator, or now I call myself like small business owner. So this is how I got my first client. It was basically connections, right? It was a bit pure luck, basically. So I never had to look for my first client. Like my first client was there from the beginning, and then I signed up at Pros, made profile there, and then I got some more clients, other translation agencies. But what happened?
You applied to those translation agencies, or it was like they found you online?
Yeah, at that one they found me most of the time. So I got contacted like in direct messages on Pros and sent my CV, and but so I never really reached out to anyone. It was like a very passive way of marketing myself, and also the clients I had. I didn't really like most of the work, to be honest. It was like a necessity at that time. I did a lot of technical translations because I came from an employer. So I just did what came along my way, everything that came along my way, and looked okay. I accepted it, but I wasn't like super thrilled, with most of the projects. They didn't really spark my passion or something, to be honest.
Most of us, we've been there, especially if we have started out like some years ago. Like myself, I started out in 2007, so more or less we have the same story. And also I was in-house before I became a freelancer for 5 years, so also more or less we have the same story. But your story is also inspiring for both kind of audiences. Like either they would like to become in-house employees or PMs or translators. Your story is also shows a path that you actually became an in-house employee right away and pretty easily for you, even if you didn't have studies in the field. And also how the opportunity, sometimes the obstacles that we need to face or challenges in our life, they guide us in a path that we might not be ready to follow. Like in your case, you weren't ready. It was not your decision to become a freelancer. But sometimes life, or the challenge that we need to face, they take us to a better path that is made for us. And that's why we have a saying here in Greece that we say, like, every difficulty is for good. Like something good is going to come up after something that is a deny or a rejection or something in our life. And in your case, I suppose it was for a good purpose, and you don't regret it, I suppose, since
no, but it took a long time to really grow into a role, to be honest. So let's move forward. So I was still living in Japan, working freelance, but with jobs I didn't really like, but I was making good money. And also in Japan, like income tax is very low, so it helped. So I think even though my rates were like super high, I was making a good income because of the low income tax, and also health insurance is pretty reasonable in Japan. And then I met my now Dutch husband, and we moved to the Netherlands. That's why we live here. That was in the end of 2015. And so in 2016, kind of January 1st or January 2nd, I went to a Dutch Chamber of Office and I registered my business here in the Netherlands. And I think that was a major cut, like being back from Japan in Europe. I was really isolated working in Japan. I didn't have a community. There was only one association. That's the Japanese Translators Association, but they really target on Japanese English, Japanese translators, and I didn't really feel like I fit there. And so when I came here, I started to join some of the events that were offered in the Netherlands. I met some colleagues the first time ever. I started to build a network. I think it was also when I started to use LinkedIn. So that must have been, 2018 or so. And I was introduced, like the first person I actually met was Dorota. What's her family name? Like the Polish translator? Maybe you know her.
I know Dorota. Dorota in the Netherlands, of course. Polak, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so, yeah, she told me about, like on these conferences and groups and
introduced you to the community. Amazing. I don't know. Did you mention in the beginning of our discussion why did you study Japanese? Did you mention what was your passion or your, let's say, idea behind? Because that's a difficult language. You don't hear that every German person, studying Japanese and then translating Japanese into English. Did you mention that? Was in the beginning of your
so I studied American studies and I lived in the US for 1 year as an exchange student, and there I met like a Japanese person. We became good friends. Miyuki, that was her name. And I noticed like I had like absolutely no information or knowledge about Asia. Everything is so Euro-centered if you live in Germany, I feel. And so when I came back to Dresden, that was where I studied. So I started to study Japanese, and that's when my interest in Japan started. And that's also why I went to Japan. But I never really managed the language level to really translate confidently from Japanese to German. I did take a lot of language classes, but it's such a difficult language. And there were always enough jobs from English to German that for me at one point it didn't really make sense to struggle and to suffer trying to translate like some technical document from Japanese into German.
Makes sense.
I never really offered that as a service. I admire people who can do that, but that was not for me. Yeah. Amazing. But like to continue with stories, everything changed for me when I started to network. It was like, wow, like in the entire world open. I met colleagues, other people, and it was like a huge boost I got in my personal and professional growth. So you cannot really do it by yourself on your own. You need mentors, and you need people you can look up to, people to learn from.
Role models, other people that they've done it. And I think networking, and also Dorota that's introduced you in this conference world, because I have written an article about it, how conference also helped me to scale up. So I'm assuming you're getting into the second, let's say, topic, like how did you scale up or how you were able to grow your business. So we're very curious to learn about it.
Yeah, so it started, around that time, let's say 2018 or so. And I also joined, I'm still am a member of Janaya's Prize program. What is that? Janaya's Prize. It's like Success by Our Ex, like was called in the past. Now it's with Doers. So she's based in San Diego in the US. I've been a member of her group since forever, like 5 years or something, and learned a lot of business skills from there. She had like a lot of workshops on different topics, like how to market yourself. And we also have a book club where we read books every like 2 months or so, business books, and talk about it. And it was a really long path to actually grow those business skills. And I only feel like I've not really mastered them, became more business savvy maybe 2 years ago. And that's like now I'm like 42 years old. It feels like, man, that took like a long time, to master it. So that's also something I would
never, definitely. But how you remember like a moment, after learning new things, CPD, networking with other colleagues, following mentors, coaches, and so on, reading books. For me, books, they have helped me. And I've mentioned like how I did grow up through conferences, business schools, and books. That was my, let's say, growth path. But do you remember a moment that you felt that actually successful in what you do, like a moment that you earned like a huge amount of money, or you earned a 5-figure project, or you earned a very high-end client, or a moment that you felt proud because you got a very well-esteemed client that you were always looking for, let's say, actually happened at some moment? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was, so while being on Janaya's program, she taught me that I'm able to actively shape my business. That was like the biggest aha moment for me, that I'm actually able to sit down and think about how do I want my business to look like, and that I don't have to accept all the things that come to me, like the technical translations, for instance, and that I can actively shape it. And that was like a real big moment for me, because I was really thinking a lot, and I took some time off. I think it was 2019 or something. I took an entire month off. I call it a business retreat, but I stayed at home, and I really took the time I really wanted to think about, like, how do I want my business to look like? What kind of clients do I want to have? What kind of jobs do I want to do? Because I wasn't happy with those technical translations. It was really not for me, even though I made good money and I had a lot of clients, but I didn't enjoy it. It was like, yeah, you wake up in the morning, you go to your computer, and you know exactly, oh God, now I have this boring, like 20,000 words user guide for some kind of machine. And no, it wasn't really my thing. And that was really the big aha moment, that I can actually actively shape the things for me. And so I took that 1 month and I read a lot about transcreation. I read the book from Nina. I read about content writing, copywriting, and I was thinking, wow, like there's an entire world of services out there I didn't really know about. And so my goal was to figure out if it was something for me. And then I decided, okay, like the transcreation seemed like a really good part. Like I like marketing and like the more creative part. Let's go into that. And also let's start with content marketing and content writing, and let's learn everything about that. How does it work? And then it was gradually, took like quite some years actually to get there, slowly think, okay, like what kind of skills do I need to offer that service? How do I get these skills? How can I market them? And once I felt more confident, I started to put it on my CV, and I told everybody I knew, all my clients, hey, I'm now offering transcreation.
Exactly.
Basically, that's how I did it. And then people started, oh yeah, like, look, we have also a transcreation process. Are you available? But all of a sudden, like these jobs came, because I was the one telling my customers, hey, I can help you with this. I can offer this now. And as soon as I also put it on my LinkedIn profile, I got companies that contacted me for trials, translation agencies. They ask, hey, if you want to join us for transcreation jobs, you need to do this trial. There were also a few I failed, I have to say, at the beginning, because I was really new to it. But gradually, no, I passed those trials, and I got the jobs, and I was.
But you had only clients as LSPs, like you were working only with the agencies up to then, or you're still?
At that time, yes. So I was only working with agencies. So I started like to work having the creative jobs, but also after a while, it's not. I'm still not fully there yet. I'm still not where I want to be. I actually prefer like the creative part, the writing part more, and that's when I looked more into that. And I did copywriting training, and I joined Kate Toon's mentorship program, the Clever Copywriting School, and her SEO course. I did her big SEO course. And that's when I finally felt, okay, that's it. Now I think I found the thing I want to do with SEO, because it was like the combination of everything. I had, a little bit of tech background because I studied computer science, but also languages. So it was like the perfect combination, like SEO. It's like content for people and like for search engines. How can you combine it? And I really felt like I finally found the thing that I wanted to do. And so again, I started. Yeah,
it's important that you mentioned, because so many people, they really struggle to find their passion or their path or what would be their specialization. And always in the mentoring programs that I have is the first step that you need to identify your ideal client and also your niche and specialization. Otherwise, you cannot, let's say, as you mentioned, to go out there and to promote yourself as a go-to expert unless you have such an expertise or a profile already built that you mentioned previously. That was an aha moment in your career. And also you mentioned some great resources for those that you would like to take such a path for SEO or marketing, translation, transcreation. Silvia, she has already mentioned some resources, so you can watch the recording again and you can find out so many different resources. And that's really important for those that really struggle, because I know, based on my experience doing this, like helping other colleagues since 2016, it's really important to find your path. It's really important to do something that you really want. Plus, it differentiates you from the competitors. It's really important to find a path that will be unique and that will guide you, let's say, to more clients or better clients and more interesting projects, as you mentioned, and something that you would really love to do. Amazing.
Yeah, so I think that's also my tip. You don't know what really excites you until you kind of find it. So you have to experiment. Yeah, be open to learn new things. And sometimes things don't work out and you figure out, nah, that's actually not the thing yet. But you have to keep looking. And so what I did, I think it was in 2020, no, 2019 or end of 2019, I basically fired 90% of my clients. So I said, okay, now I'm ready, like for the SEO work, for content writing. I do not want to do any more technical translations. I'm so done with this. I can't take it anymore. So I told all the clients,
medical, totally different. You changed from medical and you went to creative translation.
Technical,
SEO.
yes.
That's a huge change. Wow.
Yeah. So I really made that decision at the end of that year that I was not available for these jobs anymore. Again, I told all my clients that I won't be available for technical translations, but I'm happy to assist them with marketing translations, still with transcreation, but also that I'm offering SEO services and content writing. And if they have some interest in that, I would be available. And so basically I asked on 90% of my client base.
Which were also agencies, is that correct?
All agencies, yeah. So now I only work with, basically 1 or 2 agencies I have left. But all the other ones, I was the one to stop working with them. And I started to, I think that's also what you need to do. You at one point need to start to announce to the world what you offer, even if you're not 100% there yet. Because if I had waited long and said, okay, I need to do this more SEO course, I need to do another copywriting course or content marketing course or whatever, like you just postpone that and you never started. So at one point I said, okay, like even though I'm maybe only 70% there or something, 65% there, I'm now going to announce it. I'm going to advertise that. I tell my clients that I'll offer this. I put it again in my LinkedIn profile, like everywhere. Right. And then my same thing happened again with transcreation work earlier. Like companies started to contact me that they needed help with that. And then I started to, I replaced like all these LSP clients with direct clients, basically. There was companies that were looking for a copywriter, a German copywriter, or content writer. So at the moment, I only have like 2 or so agency clients left, and the rest are all like direct clients, companies that directly work with a writer or a translator. And I'm kind of a hybrid at the moment. So what I do, I really like to work with websites. So I still translate websites for clients into German, but I also offer at the same time to optimize them for SEO and also to go further to create new content for those websites, also assist them with like email marketing. So if they want to promote the new content. So I also started to offering that mainly.
So you did a direct outreach, you would say, like you directly contacting the clients that you knew that you could help them with their content. Okay.
Yeah, so my existing clients.
Before we continue with your next question, which is the most preferred, let's say, your most efficient client acquisition strategy, I would like to stay here because you mentioned something really important and I've seen so often happening in our industry. And because I've been working with colleagues and my mentoring programs, usually they are people with 15 or 20 years of experience, and they think that they need to learning new things or taking CPD courses because of lack of confidence, because of the curiosity that they need. But for me, the most important thing that you just mentioned in your last, let's say, few minutes was the fact that you don't need to be 100% ready, because for me, that doesn't exist as well. Perfect moment won't ever exist. You always learn new things. You just need to have some kind of experience or at least capacity, or to be willing to undertake such projects based on your previous experience. And the moment that you will realize that that's the expert you would like to be, especially imagine someone with 0 experience. You had some experience, but you started over like from scratch in a different field. Imagine those that they graduate. And that's the most common question I've been asked, like, how do I create a portfolio? What I write to my CV? You can start promoting what you do, even if you don't have previous experience in that. People and your clients, they need to know what are you willing to do for them, even if you haven't done this for any previous client. So I think that what you mentioned, people, they need to pay a lot of attention, because you mentioned that you started already telling people what you would do, even if you didn't have clients maybe in that field, because that's what you would like to offer. And that's a great advice for all of you guys, that you have in your mind adding a service or adding a new niche or changing niche, or even starting out with 0 experience. You need to start from somewhere. So start promoting what you would like to do for your clients, what you're ready to offer, what are the results they would like to have from your work. And the clients will end up coming to you, like with Silvia. They found you on LinkedIn, I suppose. They found you through your website, I suppose, or through word of mouth, because you were telling people exactly what you really do. And that's a great advice. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really inspiring, your story, for people that they feel, I cannot change my niche right now. I've been like so many years. No, you can. If you want, Silvia is a great example. Very inspiring.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's very inspiring.
Yeah, so it's definitely possible. And what I want to say, so I was like kind of held back for a while because I didn't have a portfolio as a writer, right? I thought, every writer needs a portfolio. I didn't have any. And so I was like, I postponed announcing the service for a long time because I felt I didn't have that experience. I even did I took a different path and started an English blog because I felt, okay, I need to have a blog where I write so people see my writing, and that was totally unnecessary. And what was the funny thing, once clients contacted me, like direct clients, nobody wanted to see a portfolio. Absolutely zero people wanted to see a portfolio at the beginning.
What did they ask you for? What did they ask you for? How, since we are talking about your most efficient client acquisition strategy, was your direct outreach, is that correct?
Yeah. And no, I was a bit passive in that sense too. Like I waited until people came to me and found me.
Okay, so it was like
on my
through
website.
SEO, search engine optimization of your online
inbound.
profiles, and inbound through your LinkedIn, your online profiles, Instagram. I don't know. Do you use any other platform?
Instagram not so much, more like LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn that was really good to start out. And so direct clients, they didn't really want to see my portfolio. Some agency client I still have, and I write content for them. They had like a really big trial, and I spent a lot of time doing it. But I knew if I pass that, I get like that consistent stream of projects. And so I spent a lot of time, like, I don't know, maybe 8 hours or something doing the entire trial. It was like creating a short piece of content and doing an SEO check basically, and also try to reach out to friends, colleagues to help me like to proofread the things I wrote. So I always did that, and I paid people for it, for trials when I thought this is really important to trial for me. So I took them and said, hey, can you like edit or proofread this for me? Give me a feedback before I send it back to the client. And this is how I got the first agency client, because I really took the time. And also what you said, you don't need to be 100% confident because you grow with the work. Nobody can really prepare you for work. And you know exactly when you start out in a new field, maybe at the beginning it's less profitable because you spend way more time that is assigned to a project. But I think that's okay. That's part of a learning curve. And you need to experience and figure out how this works. And even if it takes you double the time at the beginning to write your first content pieces, and maybe you even ask a friend to check what you've written as to make sure it's really good. I think it's worth it. I mean, I wouldn't do unpaid translation trials like I did in the past, but if you think this is really worth it, this is really the thing you want to, then I would say go for it and try it, because as I said, I didn't have a portfolio at that time. I couldn't show it to clients, so I thought it was acceptable for me.
You need to take a step back when you need to sacrifice something or to change the way you've been working. You were a well-esteemed colleague, but you had an experience in different fields. So you took this test, you took the trial, you were open to do this because you had a strategy in your mind. You knew that you were going to build your portfolio that way. And we need to be open to such opportunities. Of course, if we know why we do things, why we take this test, why we are doing this trial. And that's for me also a great advice for those that they are starting out or they're restarting out in a different career, a different path. They need to go through this, let's say, kind of cases in order to build portfolio or to restart. So that's a great also tip. Amazing. Did I interrupt you? You were about to add something to this?
No, I think I've talked enough about myself.
So yeah, we are answering in between the most common questions. So in between, I'm asking you the questions just to have enough time to devote to our topic. Let's see if we've answered all of them. I think that your preferred and most efficient client acquisition strategy, you named it, is inbound marketing. Okay, so we answered that. And what's your relationship with mentoring? As mentor also, you answered that and how it helped you also to your path. And let's enter to our topic right now, which actually today we're going to talk about websites and optimization for search engines. That's the SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization, for those that they're asking us. So why translators? Do you think translators, they need a website? That's a very hot, I think, topic and question in our field. And how did you end up becoming an expert talking about SEO and website? Because, okay, you talk about transcreation, you talk about a bit of SEO, taking some courses, how you turned up, okay, to actually go and giving workshops, presentations, public speaking, creating, a material for other colleagues.
Yeah, because I think I found my spark when I started to learn, and so I took a course from Kate Toon, her SEO recipe course, a big course. And I really felt like that's the thing I really like. And I started to read more about it, did other courses, read books. And I also a bit nerdy. So I adapted or implemented like all the advice and the tips I got from Kate into my own website. So my website was my guinea pig for everything. For SEO, and I started to use the tools. We're going to talk about the tools later a little bit, like Google Analytics and Google Search Console to figure out how's my website actually doing out there, get data. Started to change the structure of my web pages. I totally changed my website, like, I don't know, a gazillion times in between. Always updating it, experimenting with it, and then I know the demand for SEO translation was really rising in the past years. I don't know, I think it was a contra trend to machine translation, maybe.
I think also that the time that you started offering transcreation was a huge timing for you, because also had seen a rise offering something different like transcreation, copywriting, and then as you mentioned, yes, the SEO in combination with translation, that's have seen a huge rise in our industry. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And I saw also companies reached out to me, also translation agencies that had SEO translation projects, and they had no idea what they were doing. And that also, I noticed they don't really know what they are doing, and their clients don't know what they are doing. And so it would have been the agency's job to educate the client, like on the SEO strategy, what they didn't do. So they kind of put all the weird things and the weird files and requests on the translator. And most translators have like no idea what to do. So I also talked to colleagues, and people were pretty confused what's required of them. And yeah, that's when my interest started. I thought, okay, like how can I actually apply all that knowledge, theoretical knowledge I got from the courses to like our industry? How can we make sure that, for instance, we translate a website that it actually ranks in the target markets? Because before I always wondered, okay, I get a website from a client, I translate it, and then magically, does it just rank? Like, how come does it perform in a target market? And I never got any SEO instructions previously. So how come it can like do all the SEO magic if like nobody does anything about SEO? So I was kind of getting also a bit like confused and annoyed about the way agencies handle these projects. And I thought, okay, that can be done in a better way. And that's when I started to educate people, translators, like what's required for these projects, how you should approach them, and where are the limitations. And I started to work with some really good agencies, like one of the other agencies I still work with that even employ or they use an SEO strategist for SEO translation work. And so I learned a lot also with working with them together, understanding how an SEO agency, for instance, works. And that's why I wanted to start to pass on this information. But yeah, let's talk to the question. Okay, reasons why every translation have a website.
You mentioned something, your words have a lot of meaning behind of that. You mentioned that you found out a gap that was existing in the industry, and you felt that you need to fill that in. That's also great advice, because you don't need to follow that what everyone does. Like there's a trend right now, transcreation, there's a trend right now, do this. If you see that there is a lack in our industry, something that other people, they don't offer, let's say 360 or in a professional way. If you see also that the agencies, they don't know what they're doing for a specific, let's say, topic or part of our job, that would be also an interesting path to take if you also feel that you really like it, and also you feel creative while you're doing this. That's also great advice. Thank you, Silvia. You were about to start, the website.
Okay, so my question is like, I don't know how like if people can answer, like who doesn't have a website? Like it's the 21st century.
We would be interested to find out, guys. Share in the chat, because I know that there are many people watching us also from LinkedIn and in Facebook group right now. So let us know. I know that most of you, especially my mentees, they do have, even if a basic one, they do. So Dorota, Juliana, Miranda, let us know in the chat. Do you have a website as translators? Let us know in the chat. And if they don't, okay, still, you can heads up. We don't, that's okay.
But maybe then you didn't attend this, talk if you like totally anti-website.
Some people they don't have, and they're interested in finding out why they should create. So maybe we have
Right.
people that they don't have already, and they're curious to find out. Our first question: should a translator have a website, and why? So let's answer this.
Yeah. So my first answer is like, hey, it's the 21st century. So that's why, like, we live in a time and age where a website is like a standard for businesses. And I was thinking, who would not need a website? And the only people I can think of is, maybe really established translators that only work with translation agencies. And they have so many work, and they're in a niche, maybe like legal translators.
I can give you examples of people that they're making 6K or 10K per month and they don't have a website, but they were, as you mentioned, the well-established colleagues that they've been working for many years with agencies, and they might have some direct lines through referrals, but they still are making with the Gmail, and that's impressive, but they were already established. I think nowadays that things have changed. So Genevieve says, yes, I have a brand new one. You see, some people, they just created it. Natalie says, I had one. I didn't renew it because it was obsolete, and I've just started the whole process this month. You see, I have many people that are just starting, a new website. So you never know what are the needs, or restarting a new website, or the rebranding, or they, need to be updated with the new trends. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah. So I think there's no excuse anymore to not have a website. I also just checked today, like Canva, like the design app on the internet, even they offer like a website. So you can create within an hour or something, you can create your own website. You only have to pay for hosting for the domain, where you can even buy it.
Canva.com? I didn't know that. I know Wix that is very common.
So that would be like almost no excuse. It won't cost you much. You have to pay for your domain, of course, but the domain is pretty reasonable. Like depending on your domain you pick, like maybe $10 per year or something. And then in Canva, like with drag and drop, I already had tons of templates I saw. I mean, you can create like your own first little website within an hour, I think. I mean, there's absolutely no more excuse to not have a website. And why should you have a website? I made a little list. What did I write? So I think it's for professional appearance. Like we are so used to find information on the internet. If you don't have a web presence, I think it makes you suspicious. I think if I look for like some kind of service provider and they don't have a website, like I don't trust them, to be honest. So it's trust is the second big factor, and also to build your expertise on your website, and it builds trust. I think the trust factor is really important. People need to see that you exist. There's so much scam out there, also in the translation field, right? Copywriting field. So people want to make sure they buy from an actual person and not from like a scammer. So if you have like your face out there, I think that helps to build the trust and credibility. So I think these are like the biggest reasons. And the other reason I wanted to say, when you start out, like your website is probably more like a business card or like a pretty CV, and that's okay. So it still starts to build trust and credibility. But once you get to know your website and you can adapt it a bit, you can actually use the website as a business hub. And I think that's where the magic comes in. And I was thinking like a use case, like I have a colleague of mine, she's a legal translator and into French, and she translates a lot of certified documents, official documents like birth certificates or things like this. And so people always contact her for the exactly same thing. Like it's normal people, they need a certificate translated. They all have exactly the same questions, like how does this work? What stuff do I need to send to you? Like how much does it cost? How long does it take? And so on. I mean, so if you have a website for things like this, like you create a few articles like about your workflow, how this works. And then every time you have like a customer coming in, you can point them to this page and say, hey, this is how it works. And if you're more advanced, you could even implement a payment system in there, because I think she also asked for advance payment. So if you have it, why not implement a payment processor in there and ask people to pay before you start, and tell them what you need so they can upload it directly on your website and pay for it. So you can really start to streamline if you have this kind of service, for instance.
We have already got into tips, because all of those tips actually they work in order to increase your traffic and engagement to your website. So you're already giving away many tips, guys. If you're listening to Silvia, watch again the recording. pause to watch again and again because he's giving many great tips. I understand, and also my 2 cents here would be actually, yes, I agree that there is a necessity nowadays because the competition is higher in comparison to what existed like 6-10 years ago, that other colleagues, they were able to make 6K or 10K per month with only like a Gmail or a Hotmail back then. Nowadays, I think there is a necessity to differentiate, and definitely, as a matter of fact that you mentioned, you need a social proof, a proof that you exist out there as a business, and people, in order to trust you, they need to see that you exist, unless, as Silvia mentioned, you are going only to work with agencies, and agencies rarely they will ask you for a website. If they see that you have a pros profile or a LinkedIn profile, they're going to check you, but they're not going to ask you for a website if you would like to work only with other LSPs. But on the other hand, if you would like to get into the direct clients market, it's easier to build that trust and to get best results in your client acquisition strategies if you have a website. So yes, my suggestion would be, if you're really into direct clients market, at some point you would need to have a website. As Silvia mentioned, you can have just one landing page with your details and what you do. It's better than nothing. But on the other hand, Silvia, I understand those that they are afraid of it, or maybe they don't have the budget. And I understand that it's a budget that you need to allocate. But there are ways that Silvia mentioned, Canva, Wix. There are websites that you can create, a very simple website, so no more excuse. And I remember the first website I had created from a professional person here was 300 euros. So I was able with 300 euros to create a very simple website. So people would check me out to find several different pages. It wasn't just a landing page. So I think this is better than nothing. And I see here a comment. I don't know if you can see the comment, Silvia, on your screen. On your right part of your screen should be shown. Who is that? I think Juliana. She's from the mentoring group. Oh, doing something.
Yeah.
Don't click. I will show the comment.
In the building.
So you see here on the screen that Juliana says, I bought a domain 6 years ago, but the site is still not up. I know, don't tell me, because it's a lot of work to set up a website. I remember the last website I created for my coaching business, the mentoring, took me 6 months, and I had already the full content. I had already written the structure. I knew what it would be, let's say, the purpose. I knew the pages. I had the content, and still the small details, the back and forth, the technical part, as you mentioned. Yes, with the developers, it took me 6 months. So I know it's a huge investment in terms of money and time if you would like to do it the right way. Do you have any suggestion to unlock, let's say here, Julian?
Yeah, so I haven't checked out Canva, but I think that could be an option. I mean, that's, I think, very cheap. So if you can use a template and design it yourself, why not? So my current website is hosted in Squarespace as well. I love Squarespace. It's super user-friendly. It's really not expensive. I had help setting it up back in the days, but now I think I pay 120 euros or dollars per year for hosting it. I don't have to deal with the technical part of it. It gets automatically updated, backed up, and so on. And it's like a drag and drop system. So it's super easy to create a new page. You can use templates for it. It's like really user-friendly. Yeah, I think lots of people have a problem, and that's actually the second point we wanted to talk about, what to write. I think that's what holds people back. Maybe not so much the technical part, but like, what do you write on your website?
Juliana, let us know in the chat, what was the problem? Can we help you, like, with unstacking yourself with having a domain name but not a website 6 years already? So I think it's now the opportunity to start things rolling for you.
Yeah, it's also such a, not a waste or shame, but for SEO reasons, the more mature a website is, the more authority it gets, like we call it domain authority. Because when you start a brand new website, it has absolutely no authority on the internet. Google counts it, or like search engines consider it like domain authority of 0, so at the bottom. And over the years, gradually you build up that authority. Wikipedia, for instance, has an authority of 100, it's like on the top of rank, so it's super trustworthy, considered highly reliable. And so, yeah, the older your domain is, like the more authority it automatically gets from Google. So it's too bad that you didn't have this website live for a few years, because
maybe she has it's under construction. I don't know. So, Juliana, if you would like to share with us, because I don't know, do you have it under construction? Maybe as a website, do you have like in a other states that isn't it live at all, let us know in the chat. Maybe we can help you. And also Silvia will be available for you afterwards. You can reach Silvia directly. But for some people, I understand that the technical part might be sound like Greek, to them, like they don't understand. And I really understand, because I've also taken many courses and reading about it in order to find out. And some of the things still I don't understand quite well. But you mentioned great ideas like writing blogs, or like updating the content, redirecting your clients to read something there with information, or having, let's say, a contact form where people, or a call to action at the end so they can contact you right away. So those are great and simple things that we can do, even if they're not that technical to us. So I think we have covered if translators would need a website as a question. Pretty much let us know, guys, if you would like us to go, or if you have any questions on this. And definitely let us know if you're making, your income without a website. Also, we would be curious to find out how you do this. That would be also very interesting. Another topic for another day, because now I came up, is how translators, they create websites, but in a very, let's say, wrong way that doesn't bring any clients, because they don't write addressed to their audience. They don't use copyrights. That's the same with their LinkedIn profile. They write a copy like a CV on their LinkedIn profile, which doesn't speak to their audience, and thus it has no keywords. So both search engines, LinkedIn algorithm, they don't understand what's their audience to promote their website accordingly. Plus, when people, they visit their website or the LinkedIn profile, they don't understand exactly what they do or the relevancy to them. So I think the same happens with their website copy. But I think we could have another full hour discussing only how we could optimize that way, so to talk to our clients the right way, because creating a website should be about our clients and not ourselves. So Juliana, she says here, she comes up with a topic. She says, I'm still uncertain about the clients I want to target. Yes, if you don't know your clients, you cannot write a copy. Therefore, how I should structure it and what I should write. So Silvia, I don't know if you have any advice or something.
Yeah, like that's exactly what you said. So I had a list here. The most common mistakes is like you don't know your ideal client, and your website should answer these 3 questions, like what do you do, for who, and why do you do it better than your competitors. If you cannot answer like these 3 questions, like you cannot write web copy that attracts anybody. And I think that's the problem what we see with those translators' website. They only talk about themselves because they don't know
the LinkedIn profile is the same. Yeah, it's the same exactly with the LinkedIn profiles. I think the LinkedIn profile should be a small presentation of your website as well. But the website, again, shouldn't be about you only, like a CV written on, like Silvia mentioned. You should try to talk to your clients. A copywriter could help you. But again, a copywriter who doesn't know our industry, because I've seen LinkedIn profiles optimized or website optimized by someone who is not in our industry, still doesn't convert, because they don't guide you the right way to give you the right instructions just to attract the right audience. But Juliana, if you still struggle and you're 6 years already in the industry, book a call with someone, me or Silvia or someone, to help you to find your niche. And that's why in the Fully Booked Translator Formula, the first thing we do is identify ideal clients. If you don't know your clients, you cannot create your marketing material. You cannot create copy for your website. You cannot optimize your LinkedIn profile. You cannot do anything if you don't know your clients. So this is the first thing that you need to do. And don't wait anymore. Find a mentor, find someone who they could help you to feel unstuck.
Yeah, totally. And also, I think what holds people back here is the perfectionism. You don't need to be 100% sure, because your web copy will develop and your services will develop over time. So that's what happened to me. I started offering more translation, and then I moved in a different field, and like basically with every project you accept, like you get more insights if it's something for you, you like this job or not, and then you can start to adapt your copy, like maybe once a year or so, go over it again, think, okay, is this like still really the thing I want to offer? And also think about the future. Like, don't write so much about what you offer now. Think about what you would like to offer, like your dream projects, and start to announce it, right? So that's the thing what I did. Even before I was ready, I started and then announced, I do this and I do that, and clients came. So if you don't do that on your website, you don't also get those clients.
Exactly. And also, it's not about theory, Juliana. We're not talking about theory. A mentor or someone experienced in the field, they can guide you exactly how to take action. That's why people, they don't reinvent the wheel. They just help you to feel, to unlock you, to get unstuck and to take some action. So that's why I'm really focusing on actionable steps that you can take in my programs. Definitely action is the thing. So let's continue with our next question, unless there is something else you would like to add here to this topic, that we're discussing, Silvia?
No, I'm fine. I think we covered that.
And the most common, I'm really curious about the second topic you would like to cover today. Already we started a bit, like what are the most common mistakes based on your own experience that most colleagues, language professionals, translators, interpreters, they do when they create their website? And that's a great for those that they're just creating their website or they're thinking of creating or updating their website. I think that would find that very useful.
Yeah, so most of the points you just mentioned, so it's exactly the things you mentioned. So first of all, you don't have a website, so that's the number one mistake. And then I wrote, yeah, you
having
don't
a website is a mistake. Yeah, that's very
so you
cool.
don't know your client. So that was the thing we just talked about. So this is the number one mistake I see, that people, they don't know who this website is for, so they only end up writing about themselves. And you can see it in the copy, it's all about I and me. They only use these pronouns, and they don't actually say you, or they don't know who to address. So that's the biggest problem. So as I said, like let's say like any other service you're going to buy, right? What can I think about it? I don't know. What would you check out? Okay, like at the moment, I'm looking for a new web hosting company. So yesterday I was comparing different providers, and I go on their website and check, and I want to know what can they do for me. You know, I'm uncertain, like what kind of web hosting provider should I pick? How much does it cost? Do they have like maybe a service somebody I can contact to figure out what package I need and so on. So they don't talk about themselves, like on the homepage. They don't say, hey, like this is us, like we are great, like we offer reliable services. No, like they don't do it. Same if you buy any other services or you go to the hairdresser. Maybe of course we have an about me page, but it's about the customer, like what they do for the customer. And most translators' websites are not like that. They only say what I do, or what the translators do, what experience they have. But so it's very self-centered, I would say. So this is one of the common mistakes, is to think your website is actually not about you and for you. Like the website is for your customers. Like if you switch this perspective, you already get an idea what you could write on your website. Really go a step back and think about, like, you need the service you offer as a translator. So I'm a customer, I need the service. What information would I look for? Like, what can you do for me? And answer all these questions people have. And for instance, going back to the legal translator, right? I want to get married and I need my documents translated. So how does this work? How long does it take? How much does it cost? And so on. Like, step back, take the shoes, take the perspective of your customer, and step away from you.
Let's go to the next, because we are already 52 minutes live. So there's a very interesting discussion. Your tips are so practical. So people, I think they will gain a lot of value about today's live, so they can implement right away. So common mistakes, let's finalize this. They go to the third, and then we need to show your slides. I don't know when you would like me to show the slides. So
you can show the slides, right? It's just
if you finalize the mistakes, we can sum up the mistakes. Like one is having
mistakes, right? I find. So number one, like, you don't have a website. Number two, you don't know your ideal client. And number three, your website doesn't answer the three main questions, like what you do for who and why do you do it better than others.
Exactly. I've seen. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Please conclude. Sorry, please.
Yeah. Now, fourth, your website is not about you. And five is what I also, you publish your website once and then forget about it. That's also a mistake.
I'm also into that. Yes, I'm learning myself. And I was about to add that I've seen, and people, they're asking me my feedback on their website. There is no lead magnet. There is no something to convert people to buy. You don't have, let's say, your specializations. You don't have success stories. You don't have portfolio. How you are going, let's say, to convince the clients through your content there, and also how you are going to educate the algorithms and the search engines to find who is your ideal client and promote, let's say, your content to the right audience. So thank you so much. And now Silvia, she has prepared for you something. She's very generous, and I'm going right now to show Silvia. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So she's preparing behind the scenes some great materials for you. We're not going to disclose today, but yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to give you like a little bit more information. It's really hard to talk about SEO in like 10 minutes. But just like some really simple tips, 3 tips I have for you today. All right. So tip number 1 would be, if you haven't done that, if you have a website, set up a Google Search Console, and in the second step, Google Analytics. Depending on your web hosting provider, it's more tricky. Like in Squarespace, it's very easy. So you generate some code in Google Search Console, like code, and then you just insert it in Squarespace in a field, and when you set it up on WordPress, it's a little bit more tricky. You can install like an SEO plugin like yours, where you can implement that code. But that's something, if you don't know how to do it, like check out YouTube. Well, answers for everything on YouTube, or like talk to your web person.
Mm-hmm.
And why do we need that? Like, so SEO is like a data-driven science. If we don't have data, we have no idea what's going on. How do you know what you rank for? Well, then ask Google, right? Google has all that data in Google Search Console. So if you set it up, from the moment you set it up, it starts to collect your data. So that's why you should do it as soon as possible. Otherwise, you don't have the data. So if you install it next week, you start collecting all the data, and you actually figure out, and you see, like, do people find your website on Google? How many people click? Like, how many visitors do you get on your website? If you don't have any of these tools, you have absolutely no insights, you have no data. And with those, if you have no data, no insights, you cannot improve and work with it. So you say, nobody visits me anyway. So that might be the case, but maybe not. I mean, if you have no data, you don't know. So you should start collecting data, and then see, like, depending on your efforts, what you change on your website. Does this change? Like, let's say you start to publish some blog posts, and maybe you see your number of visitors go up a little bit, and people actually read that content. But if you don't collect any data, you're pretty clueless. So that's my first tip. So set up some tools to collect data, and these are free. And Google Analytics is a little bit more tricky than others, but at least start with Google Search
Let
Console.
us know, Genevieve, Natalie, those that you have a website. Dorota, I know that you have a website. Miranda, do you use Google Analytics? Have you connected that? Because the web developer is not going to do it unless you ask them. And it's not that tricky. You can do it on your own. I had some help from some friends to do it. But the information you get, the data that Silvia just mentioned, you will be impressed and surprised to see. I was really surprised to see where people they are taking me out, how many, how long, how many minutes they stay on a page to see what's there of their interest, their like the sex, like the country of origin, the age. You see, you learn so many things that you can use to repurpose your content, or to address your content, or to start taking out. And how else you're going to use this data, Silvia? What are your suggestion for tips number 1?
Yeah, so start collecting it now, because otherwise you don't know what's going on. And it's Google Search Console is more user friendly. Go in there. Also, what people don't know, it lists errors on your website. If Google thinks like your website is not optimized for mobile usage, and when you have a mobile view of your website, and somehow the buttons are too close to each other, or they're really tiny, people cannot click it, that's actually an error. That's Google understands it as an error, and it lists that in Google Search Console. So you get all the problems your website has. And that's for you to change those. If you see that, I had that with the buttons, by the way, on my website. So I was changing it, and I changed the buttons to make sure they were not next to each other. And then you can tell Google, hey, I resolved this issue, and you click on a button there. And then Google knows, okay, like you updated that, it's super. And otherwise you don't know, right, that Google found an issue on your website. What is also interesting, I've personally had never had that, but if you don't obey like Google's guidelines, and you do like bad SEO, you have some bad practices, you might be punished and penalized by Google manually. So they kind of punish your website. And if that happens, like this warning will appear in Google Search Console. They will tell you that your website has been punished by Google for some not obeying the guidelines. I mean, this is super important data, super interesting to see. So yeah, I would recommend everybody please go and install like these tools. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Some people they're saying here they're using, some people not, but they are going to do now. So it's a great opportunity for you to help you guys, and thank you. That's a great opportunity. And then if yes, it's not yet, but my provider does also provide such data. I haven't used them yet, though. You don't need to pay. Your provider is totally free tool, and it comes in your inbox and it's connected to your Gmail. If I did it alone, you can do it. I'm not tech savvy, guys. So it's pretty simple what Silvia suggests here. You can find tutorials on Google, or a friend of yours that might be tech savvy. They can connect your website with your Google Analytics, and you get your monthly, let's say, analysis through your email. Amazing. I was about to ask you previously, Silvia, you mentioned Squarespace. Do you have any specific platform that gives better to when it comes to SEO? I have heard in the past, for example, that Wix has the best SEO, let's say, integrated there. So if you create a website on Wix, it will rank higher than other platforms that they need more work behind the scenes just to boost the visibility in terms of search engine optimization, like WordPress or
Yeah,
Squarespace.
like SEO expert, I still recommend WordPress, because WordPress gives you 100% flexibility and control over your website. So if you're really techy, you can change a lot of things in the code and so on. But all these other providers like Squarespace and Wix, also Shopify, they like really up to date. They ranked up their SEO efforts. So you can also use these websites and platforms for SEO, and you can insert the most important data you need. What I see in my Squarespace website, it is slower. Site loading speed is like a big ranking factor, and unfortunately my site does not load very fast and I cannot do anything about it. I already optimized the heck out of my photos, the image sizes, but the rest, every time somebody visits my website, it takes a little bit until the template and the fonts and everything gets loaded from the Squarespace server. And I don't know.
Are you thinking of changing?
No, I'm going to stick to its Squarespace website because I quite like it, but I'm going to have like a new website soon, and that's going to be on WordPress.
Yeah, I have also two different websites and aim to do different platforms, but yes, what they suggest is WordPress, and my latest one is on WordPress. So if I anytime optimize my old website, it will be again into WordPress, which is not right now. So Dorota says, good to know, as I use WordPress. We have some questions, but let's leave them at the end after you complete, let's say, your 3 tips, and then we answer your questions.
Right.
Thank you for being so interactive today. Thank you for staying with us that long.
Oh, that's okay. So the second tip is again like data-driven. Like you need an SEO tool to also understand like your SEO efforts. No tool, no SEO, no tool, no keyword research. And that's going to cost you some money. I know there are a lot of free tools, but to really do it properly and start, you need to pay something. I always recommend Ubersuggest as the starter version for SEO tools. It's the most reasonable on the market, I think. It costs around $20 or euros, I think dollars per month. I think it's pretty reasonable. There was also something like a lifetime access. I don't remember how much that was. But you definitely need something like this. And you can also start with a trial. And I think also Ubersuggest has a free trial. You can sign up and test this platform for maybe 2 weeks or something. And what you do with such an SEO tool, the first thing you would do is to analyze your website. So you like the software will guide you through that step, but it's basically to do an SEO audit. So what they do, like they analyze your website and they give you a long list of things that you could improve on your website. If you have some technical errors, some SEO problems, like those tools will give you a list, and that's a good starting point to learn and to figure out what you can improve. So that is my second recommendation. If you haven't done that and you're really into SEO, you need to have some kind of tool, and Ubersuggest is the cheapest one to start with.
It's a paid, yes, it's a paid, but you can use the trial you mentioned, so they can get okay, and that this will help them to improve based on the errors that the tool will find. Okay.
Yeah, to also understand more about SEO and do keyword research, like Google Search Console, Google Analytics. They're not tools for you to do keyword research. They just show you the data, like they collected data about the visitors of your website. But if you want to know how you rank for a certain keyword, for instance, like you do it with an SEO tool, you need a tool. You cannot do it otherwise. I mean, of course, you could like go to the incognito mode of your web browser and enter like a keyword you think your website ranks for, and then manually check, okay, I rank on blah, 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 page 5. but that's not very efficient.
It really depends on the services. My coaching website ranks the first page because there's no much such competition. I haven't worked much in SEO, whereas my translation business has huge competition. So it's not that easy, even if, I invest a lot of money in SEO to rank higher. On the other side, for example, LinkedIn, you can rank on the first page. I rank on the first page. The clients say on LinkedIn, it's easier. But you can link in between your website and your LinkedIn profile if you would like, let's say, to increase traffic. Okay, and the third tip, amazing, very practical advice today. Thank you so much.
Maybe it's a little bit more that goes really more into SEO and how SEO works. So basically, you don't rank in the Google search results because of luck. No company that ranks on Google ranks there because of luck. So there's a SEO strategy behind, and they do something for it. And you need to understand that. So that's why using an SEO tool is like a first step to understand that. And the second would be then you start to optimize your website. And how we do it. So people are really confused about keywords, right? They know they need to use keywords, and then they think, okay, maybe I'll use these keywords, and then use them all over your website, like on the About Me page, on your home page, service page, everywhere you can. Like you put, for instance, I don't know, you're like a English to German marketing translator or something. If this was your keyword. And
keywords, very strong keywords, of course, yes.
So if you use that, but that's not really how it works. So we do what in SEO we call it keyword mapping. So we look when we talk about SEO, we don't look on the domain level, but we go onto a sub-page level. So every URL is one sub-page, and you always optimize this page and not the entire website. And then what you do for every page you have, so you could have, usually we have a home page, maybe several service pages, like you offer translation, proofreading, maybe offer third service, and then you have an About Me page, and maybe blogs and a contact page. That's like a standard, right? And then you take every page you have and you assign that keyword set for this one particular page. So let's say you have different services. So I'm offering English to German marketing translations. I should make one service page for that. If I also offer Dutch to German marketing translations, then you should have a separate service page for this. And then you take the first service page and you use the keywords. You just assign a keyword set to this one particular page.
Can I ask something, because I'm not very familiar, maybe also some people here in the audience, when you mention to set for each subpage a keyword, let's say set, you mean practically to get into the admin of your page, of your website, and to go to each of the pages, no? Okay.
No, in this case, we're still talking about the theory behind it. So let's say how is it? So
mapping is before we start, okay?
To know exactly. So before you implement anything, you think about it, you make a strategy and say, okay, I have this one service page, my English to German marketing translations, and then the main keyword for this page will be English to German marketing translations, and maybe we have that's called a primary keyword, your main keyword. Then you have a few synonyms. And when you create an Excel list, I also have a template for this. You would create a list in Excel, and you list every URL you have on your web page and say, okay, I use this one keyword on this page. And then I use a different keyword on that page, and you stick to it. So you don't use this one keyword on all the pages, but you start to use this only on one page. And so how do you implement it? Yeah, first of all, you implement it in your web copy. That's where you use the keyword. So that's your main headline.
Inside the text, okay.
Inside the text, that's where you start, right? The headline. So the headline for the service page could be English to German marketing translator. That's my main headline. And then I have sub-headlines. Let's say, how could we say? How much does an English to German marketing translation cost?
That's very clever. Yeah, that's very clever. I think the highest, let's say, clicked pages on our websites, that's what statistics says, the ones that do with the pricing. That's what most people are looking for. And there are also, let's say, some hacks that you can increase traffic without having your prices there.
Yeah.
That's the keyword.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So this tip is a little bit tricky. So this tip number 3 already goes really into SEO and keywords, but that's the thing. So what I wanted to say is that you need to have a strategy. Like you need to learn about how this works, how on-page SEO works. So you need to use a tool to do the keyword research, and then you're strategic and you think, okay, I have this page on my website, I'm going to optimize it for this one keyword, and I'm not going to use this keyword on all the other pages, and that's how you start. And so you make some changes, like in your copy, right? You maybe change the headline, and you use the keywords more often in the subheaders, overall in the page. Maybe you make your page a little bit longer to add more content. You could add more frequently asked questions section at the end to also get more copy on the page. And then you update it in your system, like in your backend, and then you wait and see what happens in your SEO tool. And maybe now actually your website improves in ranking for this keyword because you started to optimize it and change it. And so this is like you do something and then you check the results. But the results, it will take like weeks or maybe even months to change and to get updated. But so that's why it's a slow process, right? SEO is a marathon and not a sprint. But you start, you make some changes, and you check did this work or it didn't work. When you look at your SEO tool, it will give you some suggestions what you can do, and so you implement them and you check, okay, did it work? Yes, no. And that's actually how you start optimizing your website for SEO.
What is the overview file that you mentioned here?
Yeah, I have it for my clients also on my websites. I don't know, maybe I could think about to provide you with such a my template file for this.
It's an external file. Could be an Excel spreadsheet, I mean, or is it something else?
Yeah, it's an Excel spreadsheet. But at the moment, I only have it in German. Maybe I can
it's okay. It's okay. I was just like to find out exactly the terms here, so to be very clear what we're talking about. Let us know, guys, if you have any more questions for this topic to ask to Silvia. I know the last part was very technical, but of course you can take some practical advice here that you can implement on your own, or you can ask your web developer to do so. And definitely it's a matter of strategy. You need to start rethinking, think differently about it. And it's one way to start attracting clients, because Silvia is getting most of your clients through inbound marketing. And that works pretty well on LinkedIn, website, and depending on where your clients are, maybe Instagram or other platforms as well. Do you have any questions, guys? Was this clear? I have one question from Thayana, I think, here. Thayana, you haven't clicked on the StreamYard link, so we cannot see your name here. Thayana asks here, I don't know, you cannot see, but don't click anything. I will show it to you. I will read it. She asks, what about the seniority level of the client's job title level to target within companies? How we can figure that out when it comes to content? For any kind of content that we create to target our clients, it's hard to know how exactly the position that would close the deal with you when you work with only LSPs like me. So it's very like a targeted question, very specific question. I don't know if it applies to you, Silvia, and your background, if it's something that you can help Thayan.
No, not fully sure what she means with the question, but if you want to target these people directly, I think I'll leave that question to you.
Yeah, so because I know Thayan, I suppose what she means, because we've been using LinkedIn has a specific feature and specific filter, especially the paid version, where you can identify and create a prospect list in a targeted way by choosing the seniority level of the people in that company. That's very practical, very to the point, and you can find the seniority level. But if you've been working for many years, as you mentioned here, Thayan, for LSPs, and you don't know the decision maker, how you will be able to know what's the seniority level? So if, first of all, like Silvia mentioned earlier, you need to find out who is this. And only by getting into discussions and contacting with the clients, you will be able to find out who is the actual decision maker and what's their seniority level there. But if you don't get into contact with them, if you don't start discussions the way we do in the ultimate LinkedIn prospecting system, my mentoring program, you will never be able to find out, especially if you have zero experience in that field. But when it comes to content, maybe Silvia, she can help us here. When you create content, you don't target a specific seniority level with the content. Usually you target a specific audience. The audience then will react to this according who is, let's say, the decision maker, and they will find you. You don't need to target the content to the decision maker. And I've never seen any content marketing strategy target to a specific seniority level of a specific client. We usually target to a specific audience that we talk about the company that this audience works, the results that we can bring to them. We solve their problems and their challenges, but we rarely talk to a seniority level content that we create. So the content should be addressed to the target market and the company that we help and how you help them solve their problems or achieve their objectives. And then it's about them to find you. And usually you will be contacted by the decision maker or will be readdressed to the decision, referred to the decision maker if that the person that contacted you is not the one. So usually the content itself is found by people who are genuinely interested in what we're talking about. And that happens, let's say, as a result. But Thayan, let us know if we have answered your question or if we haven't got, let's say, your question right. I don't know if, Silvia, you would like to add something else here?
No, and I think for web content, yes, seniority level, I don't think it's more like a job title and depending on your service, right? So if you're a translator and especially if you target direct clients, I mean, you can think about it like who would buy your service. It could be a marketing manager of a company, right? It could be a project manager, maybe. Yeah. So, but I think you already gave like a good answer to that.
Yeah, because you cannot, you never address your content to seniority level. Usually the content itself is addressed to the right person, even if you don't know the seniority level of them. If you actually talk to them by solving their problems, you don't need to know their job title. You don't
exactly. It's your pain point.
Exactly. Know how you solve their problems, how you help them, let's say, achieve their objectives. The decision makers, they will find you through the content. That's inbound marketing. Silvia, she didn't go to find the seniority level, let's say, of the decision maker for her transcreation services. Silvia, in the first part of this live, and you can watch the recording, guys, if you missed the first part, she shows and describes how she was able to find actually those clients through inbound marketing. They found her through the content that she had there. So you don't address the decision maker. At least that's my advice. If someone can correct me here, I'm open to discuss it, guys. Let me know, Thayan, if we have answered your question or if you would like us to actually expand a bit more on this topic. Thank you so much, Silvia. And then I'm showing here the page where people, they can find out about our workshops. And your workshop, would you like to give a short, very short, because we're over time here, description of what you're going to talk about?
So yes, so the workshop, I'm really excited to host this workshop because it's 3 hours plus half an hour coffee break in between. So we are going to dive into writing the web copy. So the title I picked was How to Write a Killer Service Page for Your Website. So I want people to walk out after the workshop with a draft of the web copy, and they can use that draft and give it to a web person and get it already implemented on my website. So we take 3 hours to walk through all the different parts we need to cover on like one page on our website. I have like templates. I will share also some different designs we can use. And we talk about all the parts that need to be on a web page, especially for when it comes to service pages. So we are also going to talk about the ideal client again.
I will be there, and it will be very targeted only for the services page. So it's very, I think it will be very thorough and very comprehensive.
Yeah, so
everyone can live with a ready services page ready, amazing. And that's, I think, the first time we see such a workshop. So it's very innovative, amazing. And mine, I don't know if you have checked that, Silvia, the topic. I don't know if you will be attending. I don't know. I know that you will be tired after your 3 hours because mine is after Silvia. So we will have a lunch break or whatever. And then is mine, I think, later on. There is a description here. Okay, mine is at afternoon between 2 and 5:30, whereas Silvia's is going to be 9:30 until 1 p.m., I think, local time there in Utrecht in the Netherlands. So mine, that's pretty honorable that most of you voted this topic. I had submitted several ones. So the fully booked translator formula revealed, so many of you have asked me and you're telling me that it's very expensive, my programs, and it's not that affordable for you. And I was really surprised that this was actually, you can get access for both of them. Each of the workshops is 55 euros online if you actually purchase to watch online, and 75 if you attend live. And live has different energy and you get the workshops and we will meet. So I understand that it will be more practical to attend live. But in any case, if you cannot attend, there is also the opportunity that you can watch live. There will be also a recording for specific time frame. So there is a huge value also, let's say, attending even if you cannot attend live online, the workshop. So I will be revealing in 3 hours, and I know 3 hours are not enough because my program duration is for 3 months. I will try and I will do my best with the 30 pages worksheet to create your own client acquisition strategy to become fully booked in 3 months. And I will be sharing all my insights and the inner circle of my programs, worksheets and practical information that you will be able to take action right away, because it's not theory. Workshops are not about theory, as Silvia already mentioned. It's about taking action right away, creating your copy for your service page, or creating your strategy and implementation plan, so as you, after leaving the workshop, to be able to implement the strategies that I will suggest for you, and I will adjust them based on your business model and your audience, the audience that you would like to attract. So let us know, guys, if you have any more questions. You can click on the link here, is the BB conference page, and we would love to meet you there. Thank you so much, Silvia. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I hope I see some of you in Utrecht, maybe live or like online. I think it's a great chance to work on your web copy if you're unsure what to write and who you want to target. And we have a group of people. If you are stuck, like we can brainstorm together, and I'll bring some extra Dutch cookies. So like we have...
I miss the energy of the live event so much, because lately I've been giving so many presentations online, and I thought that's a great opportunity to give again a 3 hours live workshop. The last time I was at the Canary Islands in 2017. So amazing. So thank you so much, Silvia. We will meet finally in Utrecht May 8th, one day before the actual conference. So join us, guys. Meet us, say hello. Thank you, says everything. Thank you for such an interesting session. We cannot see your names still. Dorota here. Thank you so much. Miranda, Dorota, Fayan, for your Juliana, for your interesting questions. Genevieve, who else? I'm sorry, Yolanda, that you're here. Antonia, that you're here watching us, and also on LinkedIn, Natalie, Nicola, everyone that might be shy and we cannot see their names. Thank you for joining us live and for such a great company. Have a great weekend, and let us know if you have any questions in the chat, or you can tag us or contact us directly. Thank you, Silvia. You stay here with me.
Yeah, all right. And yeah, have a nice weekend, everyone, and maybe see you soon in the Netherlands.
Yeah, let's meet in Utrecht. So amazing. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Genevieve. Again, yes, guys, thank you. That was really interesting, they say. So thank you so much, Silvia. You stay here with me. Thank you, guys. See you online. Bye-bye for now.